So this question usually starts with a picture in somebody's head. Cast iron, campfire, steak, that whole rugged, simple, back to basics thing. And I get why people are drawn to it. Cast iron, it just feels like it belongs outdoors. But the real question isn't whether or not cast iron works for camping. It's whether it actually makes camping more enjoyable, or whether it turns into one of those ideas that sounds great until you're dealing with it in real life, because those are very different outcomes. Most people don't wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to buy some cast iron for camping. They see it, they imagine it, they assume that it's the right way to cook outside, and then the quiet doubt, the one that people don't say out loud, is whether they're signing themselves up for more hassle than they realize. Now, I'm not going to answer that right away, because the answer really depends less on cast iron and more about how you actually camp. And so for context, my name is Adam. I cook on the road a lot. I buy a ton of gear. This is just one of those things that I've actually lived with. And when I first started bringing cast iron camping, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I wasn't chasing aesthetics. I wasn't trying to do anything impressive. I just wanted something that cooked well, held heat, the same reason that people use cast iron at home. What I didn't fully appreciate at first was how much context changes when you are not in the kitchen. So here's where reality really started to creep in. Now, cast iron doesn't just bring heat retention, it brings weight, brings cleanup, brings storage decisions, it brings logistics, and none of that matters in your kitchen, because your kitchen is built to support those things. And of course, camping isn't. That doesn't make cast iron bad, it just makes it situational, because one of the biggest differences is the type of camping that you're doing. If you're car camping, pulling up, unloading once, setting up for a day or two, cast iron makes a lot more sense. If the weight is a non-issue, the cleanup is manageable, you can set it somewhere and just leave it there. But if you're moving around a lot, if you're packing light, if you're cooking quickly, if you're doing some hiking, cast iron definitely starts to feel, I don't know, a little less romantic, a lot more stubborn. And that's usually the moment that people realize that they bought something because it felt right and not because it fits how they actually camp. And storage is where this really shows up. If your cast iron is easy to grab, you're probably going to use it. If it's buried under gear, you're probably not going to use it. Now that sounds obvious, but it's one of the biggest reasons people stop bringing cast iron camping. Not because it doesn't cook well, but because it becomes inconvenient to access. And once something becomes inconvenient outdoors, it quietly stops earning its place. Now, here's the part that people don't expect. And if cast iron does fit your camping style, it becomes much more satisfying. You don't worry about the hot spots, you don't baby it, you don't rush, you cook a little slower, you cook a little simpler, and the food usually turns out much better. That only works if you're the kind of person who enjoys that pace. If what you really want is fast, lightweight, low thought cooking, cast iron is definitely going to feel like friction. Okay, so who does cast iron for camping actually make sense for? Makes sense for people who camp regularly, not occasionally, who cook as part of the experience and not just to eat, who don't mind carrying a little extra weight, who want a solid tool instead of multiple lightweight ones. So for me, cast iron is worth bringing when the trip supports it, which for me is most of the time. I bring cast iron when I actually want to cook. If I'm trying to keep things light, then I don't. That is the part that people miss. This isn't about whether or not cast iron is good. It's about whether it fits the way that you camp. So at the end of the day, cast iron for camping isn't right, it isn't wrong, it is just a trade-off. And once you see it that way, the decision gets a lot easier. So hopefully this helps you decide whether or not this actually makes sense for you. I'm going to put the links in the description down below if you want to take a closer look. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video.